Hi, Nura. Would you mind just introducing yourself to the graduate community?
Hi. Well, my name is Nura Dualeh. I work at the University of Arizona. I work with graduate students, among many other things, and also in undergraduate research, so the pathway to graduate school. And much of my work is with diversity programs and broadening participation in graduate education.
Awesome. And I know you run Grad Chats, so would you mind just explaining what Grad Chats is?
Yes. So GradChat is an online Zoom community, I guess, or space. And it started in spring of 2020. We had just discovered that the campus would go from in-person to virtual. And one of the things I do with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at the Graduate College is I'm a grad recruiter. I recruit graduate students and travel all over and go on virtual conferences now to find the fabulous students who end up at the U of A. And so that spring, when we went online, the question that we had amongst ourselves was, what happened to the students we recruited that started last fall, who maybe don't have a large community on campus yet? Maybe we need to create a space so that it could break isolation on the one hand and build community. So that's how Grad Chat started in spring of 2020.
Awesome. And have you seen like a positive impact from it with our like online classes so far?
Yes. I have to say, we didn't quite know what to expect. And so we did a Qualtrics survey and sent that out to the listserv. There's a graduate professional student of color listserv. And on that listserv, in the Qualtrics, we asked kind of the generic things we thought graduate students would be interested in, and then and asked for student input. And so students gave us some ideas. And so every single semester, we've made sure that we hit the biggies. We make sure that career services and professional development speaker is there. We make sure that there's a speaker that addresses mentorship and that relationship to faculty. We make sure there are faculty and staff and administrators who come and visit the Grad Chat and talk about campus resources that we want students to connect to. But we meet every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And the idea is that it's a community, and people just drop in if they have the time, and we chit chat, we check in with each other, we do these check-ins and have really beautiful conversations. And then if we have a presenter, and it's not the case that we have one every single week, if we have a presenter, we record the presenters chat and then any Q&A. And at that point, I stop recording. Because one of the things I want to convey in this discussion is that Grad Chat and what gets discussed in Grad Chat is very, very confidential. We want students to feel like there's this safe place they can go on campus where they can meet students that they already know, make new friends, but really say what's on their mind. And oftentimes, just naming what the concern that you might have is helpful. So that's a big deal. But more importantly than that, it's the affirmation and validation they get when just about everybody in the chat says, I experienced that too. That's not, you know what I mean? You can do this. So I will end that answer there.
Awesome. And I guess in like specific instances, are there any like, what would you say, if there is one, is the most like powerful moment you've experienced just in Grad Chats?
So there've been several. There've been many. I will be cheesy and say this.
Right.
Every single week, at Tuesday at 4 p.m., when I start Grad Chat, I've got this ridiculous grin on my face. I'm just smiling and beaming, mostly because to me, that's a happy space to know that somebody's going to stop by, and I never know how many students will. And once they stop by, it's a weekly moment for me to celebrate their presence on campus, to affirm and validate everything they bring to campus, the talents and the experience, the perspectives, the intellectual curiosity, the lived experience, you name it, the humor, the survival strategies. So that's kind of, and it's, you can see the passion here. So it sounds cheesy, but it's not. So that's number one. But number two, students, sometimes within the chat, but sometimes they'll write to us and share some things that were really powerful for them. So we've had students say stuff like, Nura, that job that I now have and that I applied to and I got, the thought for applying for that came to me from Grad Chat, in a conversation that we had in Grad Chat. And I'm like, that student's like this big shot administrator on campus now. And what she really needed was that community within which to feel validated and affirmed and really put together all the streams of her experience and see that if not her, who? Which is the question I'm always asking in grad chat. What I'm trying to say to students is life is hard, but there are opportunities all over the campus. Don't edit yourself out of those opportunities. Start to see yourselves in those opportunities. Let the selection committees do their job. But it's not your job to sit there and say, I'm too tired, I'm not well qualified, I'm just new, whatever the negative recording in your head might be. It's grad chat is the place where we try and dim down those voices and lift up this sense of agency and efficacy and empowerment.
Yeah, which I think is a really healthy and counterbalance to all the necessary critiques of academia.
Very true.
Yeah, and I guess on that kind of in that vein, what are some like outrageous things that have happened in grad chats? If you're like at liberty to share them.
Outrageous. Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of humor that goes on. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of advice that continuing students want to give new students. But I would say this. If you know me, you'll know that I have this tendency to just go off on a rant. So every third chat, there might be a rant where I'm just like really trying to get through to students how special they are or how necessary it is in the moment we're in that we find ourselves as a community, as a nation, as the Wildcat community on campus. This is a tough time, and it's a tough time for many different reasons, all of these nested challenges students are facing. So it is a moment where I just get really carried away, and I'm like, if not you, who, right? And I very much believe we're looking at the next generation of not just leadership, but this generation that's in school right now, undergrad and grad and professional students. This generation is schooling and learning in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of all of the other challenges that we're facing in society. And I just find that incredibly heroic. And I just think we need some humility as older folk and a moment to reflect before we engage with them, where we come to them with a high degree of respect.
And I guess final question, can you think of like a very powerful moment or story that might help people understand like why grad chats are so deeply important to people?
Yes. Well, actually, the last chat we had was pretty amazing. We had it was the normal chat. We had a presenter, I believe. It was an excellent presentation. It was the University of Arizona Innovation Center. It was very STEMmy. Some of the non-STEMmy people came in and then ran away, and they were like, "I'll go to the next week." But it was actually, she was looking for diverse STEM students to participate in an internship, and 3 emerged from a community of maybe we were 13 that day. And I'm like, how is that even possible? She was looking for 7. So, and they all 3 of them were like, I'll be writing to you. I'm going to complete the internship application. So that was fabulous. But that wasn't even the thing that blew my mind. When the formal chat was over, a student stayed behind. A continuing graduate student who's going to be finishing up this spring stayed behind. Myself and Dr. Tria Allen, who shows up at many of the grad chats and is a fantastic friend, colleague, running buddy. It's just been great. And she too, I think, finds this space to not only be a place where she can share her wisdom with students, but I think it feeds her soul the same way it feeds mine. And I think it's become a happy space for her. Well, imagine Ashok when the graduate student shared that she is taking something like 4 graduate courses, STEM graduate courses, and then she's TAing for a class with like maybe 118 students, and the assignments are generally weekly, but they're also can be bi-weekly. And then there was other stuff that she was doing, research and you name it. And the 3 of us looked like this. and so we all 3 of us just stayed with her for a while, and we just thought through all of the things. Now, keep in mind, it's her very first semester, right? But something all along was telling her this is a bit much. And so it was lovely for her to hear from a continuing graduate student and from Dr. Tria Allen and myself, ways that she could strategize. And I know that she made significant changes within that week, and then came and we had a chat afterwards. So this is to say, you can find yourself in a place where every cell in your body, that little voice is screaming, this is wrong, this is too much, or this needs to be changed. And If you find somebody safe in your department to have that conversation with, fantastic. That's as it should be. If not, come to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at the Graduate College. Donna Treelor is there, Holly Lopez is there, Dr. Franz Tax is there, Nura Dualeh, I'm there. There's a community of people who are willing to receive what you have to say, hear it very sensitively, and help you problem solve very discreetly.
Awesome. That's a wonderful, I think that sums it up perfectly.